All right, so today we're really diving into the deep end with this one. We're going to unpack this Speedo trading system. Got the document right here from sleekoptions.com. And just skimming it, I can tell you one thing. This is not for the faint of heart.
No kidding. Right off the bat, they're hitting you with this 5K minimum account balance. And the language they use talking about aggressive growth, you can tell this is for someone who's really looking to make a move in the market.
Yeah, they don't beat around the bush, do they? They even call it risky themselves, which you don't always see.
Nope, no sugarcoating here.
Yeah.
And that whole thing about focusing on only two stock symbols for 6 months, I mean, talk about discipline, right?
Yeah, 6 months is a long time in the trading world. It's like they want you to really know those two companies inside and out.
Exactly. Forget about chasing every hot stock tip. It's about deep diving into those two, understanding every nuance, every market reaction.
Yeah, becoming a specialist instead of trying to be a jack of all trades. And speaking of specialized strategies, let's dig into this multi-lots approach. Seems like that's one of the core elements here.
Oh, absolutely. The whole idea behind multi-lots is risk management. Instead of going all in on a trade, you're scaling in strategically. You've got your starter lot, a smaller chunk of your capital.
Right.
And then, depending on how the trade develops, based on the system's triggers, you might add a second lot.
So it's like instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you're making smaller bets as you go, seeing how things play out.
Exactly. You're giving yourself room to maneuver, to adjust your position as the market reacts. You know, it's interesting. They mention a protection lot, but then say it's not used in the system.
Yeah, that caught my eye too. I mean, usually with aggressive strategies, you'd expect some kind of extra safety net.
Right. But I think it goes back to that laser focus we were talking about.
Right.
By taking away that safety net, the system is forcing you to be really precise with your entry and exit points to trust your analysis.
Interesting. So it's less about reacting to every little market fluctuation and more about having confidence in your initial assessment in the system you've chosen.
Exactly. Sticking to the plan. Which, speaking of, that's a perfect segue into one of the most intriguing parts of this system, profit cycling. This is where the Speedo system really dives into the psychology of trading.
Yeah, this is what really jumped out at me too. They talk about managing separate accounts, even if it's just on paper.
Right. It's like mentally separating your winnings from the get-go.
Almost like you're tricking your brain into making more rational decisions, which, let's face it, can be tough when you're caught up in the heat of the moment during a trading day.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about building those mental barriers to help you stay the course, you know? And the way the Speedo system formalizes this is after each winning trade, you're moving 90% of your profits out of your main capital account.
Oh, wow, 90%. That's a pretty significant chunk.
It is, isn't it? But they want you to move it into this separate profit account, almost like a safety net, but also a pool of capital that's specifically for pushing for even more aggressive growth.
I see. So you're less likely to dip into your initial capital, get scared, make emotional decisions when things get a little hairy, right?
Precisely. It's like you cash out at a casino
Yeah.
and suddenly it's real money, right?
Yeah.
Before that, it's just chips.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good way to put it. Creates that mental separation.
Exactly. But here's the catch. You don't get free reign with that profit account.
Yeah.
2 trades max. Then everything goes back to the capital account.
Really? Only 2 trades. Why do you think they limit it like that?
Well, it's about control, right? You're forced to be even more selective with those profit trades, to really think them through.
So you're not just throwing money around just because you're on a winning streak.
Exactly. And notice the second trade from the profit account, you have to go in with at least 80% of whatever you made on that first profit trade.
Wow, so they're really pushing you to maximize gains while still acknowledging, hey, there's risk involved.
Exactly. It's a balancing act for sure. And speaking of taking a step back, there's that rule about a 1 trading day gap between those 2 profit account trades.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that. It's like they're forcing you to take a breather even after a win.
Right. Because this whole system, it's all about removing those impulsive actions.
Yeah.
1 day to cool down, reassess the market, avoid making decisions based on pure excitement.
Like a cool down period after an intense workout. Love that analogy.
Gotta let the body recover, right? And speaking of controlled execution, let's talk exit strategies. Because the Speedo system is really specific about when to cut your losses and lock in those gains.
Yeah, that 40% profit target, that really stood out to me.
Right. You hit 40%, you're out. No chasing those unrealistic returns.
No greed. Stick to the plan.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, adding that second lot, that's not a free-for-all either. It has to be a dip, but not too far down. And it can't have hit that 40% profit point at any point prior.
So it's about recognizing a potential turnaround versus just throwing good money after bad, huh?
You got it. And that's where those dipsy setups come in. They're essentially price patterns the system uses to pinpoint those buying opportunities.
Okay, so it's adding that technical analysis element to the mix. Not just, oh, the stock is down, I'm buying. There's a method to it.
Absolutely. And the Speedo system, it even accounts for those what-if scenarios, like what to do if you're getting multiple trading alerts in a row.
Oh yeah, how do you handle those conflicting signals?
Well, if the alerts are in the same direction, all buy or all sell, you stick to your guns. Ignore the extra ones. But if they're in opposite directions, that might be a sign of a momentum shift. The system suggests considering a trade in the opposite direction of your initial position.
Interesting. So there's a level of adaptability built in. You're not just blindly following every signal. You're reading the room, as they say. It's like the system is giving you the guidelines, but it's not going to hold your hand through every trade. You got to be present, make those judgment calls when needed.
Exactly. It's about empowering you to be a more strategic trader, not taking the wheel completely. And that's something anyone can benefit from, no matter what system or strategy they're using.
Absolutely. And to that point, there's that rule about ignoring outdated alerts really drives home the importance of discipline.
Right. Even if an alert is only 2 days old, if the stock hasn't moved much, hold back. Patience is key.
Like waiting for the perfect wave to break instead of just paddling out there in the middle of a chaotic ocean. Got to be smart about it.
Great analogy. The Speedo system, it's all about helping you become a more disciplined, observant trader. Because think about it, even with the fastest car, you're not going to win any races if you're driving recklessly, right?
True that. You need skill and a well-tuned engine to really get where you're going. So for anyone listening who might be feeling a little overwhelmed, maybe even intimidated by all the intricacies of this system, remember the big takeaway here is having a plan, managing risk, and sticking to your guns when your emotions start running high.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Those principles, risk management, emotional control, and sticking to your strategy, that's universal. Every trader can benefit from that.
It's like that saying, give a man a fish, you know, the one. But with this document, it's like they're giving you the tools to potentially become a more successful trader, but you got to put in the work, the practice. It all comes down to you.
Nicely put. Trading, it's a journey. You're learning, adapting, refining your approach as you go.
So as you're figuring out your own trading style, what works for you, keep those principles in mind. And hey, who knows, maybe you'll find yourself speeding towards your goals before you know it.